In this video, I'm going to explain what is a true bearing of an object. Suppose this is a lighthouse and we need to find the true bearing of a lighthouse, and we are on the ship. So this is the observer here and this is a true north. So this direction is a true north from observer, and this is a line of sight of object from the observer. So this angle is going to be true bearing of this lighthouse. Well, I can explain this that the true bearing of an object is the angle at the ship. That means that is observer between the geographical north or true north and line of sight of object from the ship. So this is a 0, 0, 0 degree. This is a 0, 0, 0 degree, that is true north. This is 0, 9, 0 degree. This is 1, 8, 0 degree. This is 2, 7, 0 degree. And this is 3, 6, 0 degree, which is again 0, 0, 0 degree. So we can say that the bearings are measured from 0, 0, 0 to 3, 6, 0 degree, but in clockwise direction. So this is called clockwise motion. Now let us look again. This is true north, this is observer, this is the object, say lighthouse, and this is the line of sight. So we can say that this is a true bearing. However, the ship's head is in this direction. So we can say that this angle is a relative bearing. The relative bearing is defined as this is an angle at the observer between the ship's head and line of sight of object from the ship. Relative bearing is measured clockwise from 0 degree to 360 degree, and this is measured from the ship's head. Well, the 0, 0, 0 degree is the ship's head, and that's the only difference from true bearing. So let's have a look here. Suppose this is a vessel and this direction is true north, and suppose this is an object. So this angle is going to be true bearing. Well, if this is the ship's head is in this direction. This is the fore and aft line. So this angle from the ship's head to the object, to the line of sight of the object, is called a relative bearing. Now let's have a look here. Suppose this is ahead, this is ester, and this is the object. So this angle is a relative bearing. I just changed the configuration. This one is called starboard beam, this one is called port beam. Well, 45 degree to this is called starboard bow, and this is called port bow. Similarly, this is called starboard quarter, and this is called port quarter. So relative bearings are important, as collision avoidance rules use reference of relative bearing. Basically, these relative bearings are the direction of other ship from own ship's head. Now let's talk about conversion of bearings. So relative bearing plus true course will give you true bearing. Let's take this example. Suppose relative bearing is 210 degree and the true course is 250 degree. Then true bearing is 210 plus 250, that is 460 degree. However, The bearing cannot be more than 360 degree. Bearings are measured from 0 to 360 degree. So we need to subtract this 360 degree. The bearing is 100 degree. Let me explain from this diagram. Well, this is the ship's head. So the true course is 250 degree. That is this angle. From true north to the ship's head, that is 250 degree. Now the relative bearing is 210 degree. That means this angle is 210 degree. Well, the true bearing is going to be the sum of that, 210 plus 250, that is 460. However, we need to subtract this 360 degree. So the true bearing is from here to here, which is 100 degree. So this one is 100 degree, this one 100 degree. Relative bearing plus true course is true bearing, or relative bearing will be true bearing minus true course. Suppose true bearing is 100 degree and true course is 250. So the true course is 250, which is from here to here, from true north to the ship's head, and this is the direction of ship's head. So we need to use the same formula, that relative bearing is true bearing minus true course. So we need to find the relative bearing here. True bearing is 100. That means from true north to the object, this is 100, this one. Well, the relative bearing will be minus 160. So relative bearing cannot be minus. We need to add 360 degrees. So relative bearing is 200, which is from ship's head to the object and in the clockwise direction.